We need full accountability. It is 2025, and we still have not had full accountability for what happened. There needs to be justice. People belong in prison, and that, my friends, would be a kind outcome for them. Welcome back to Come and Take It. You guys know what to do. Make sure that you hit the like button on this video and make sure you're subscribed, because sometimes people, they check and they're like, oh, I was unsubscribed and I know I'm not the one that did it. So make sure you're subscribed and comment. Let us know what you think of this one. It'll help us in the algorithm. So good news. I love when I get to come to you guys with good news. Here in the state of Texas, HB 3441 was passed through the House. Now, I know you guys are like, I don't know what that means. That's just a bunch of numbers. I can't keep up with the legislation.
Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science?
And I'm here to tell you what it is. All right. This is very, very significant for anyone in the MAHA movement, anyone in the skepticism of vaccines movement, anyone who has been kind of awakened, especially after the COVID era, with Operation Warp Speed and everything that happened with that experimental jab. This should be very important to you, because what HB 3441 was, which was authored by my good friend, Representative Shelley Luther, someone who was a huge fighter back in the COVID area, fighter against tyranny, went to jail because she kept her salon open. That Shelley Luther, this was her baby. This was her bill. And what HB 3441 does is it will hold a vaccine manufacturer liable in the state of Texas. They will be liable to an individual if they advertise a vaccine in this state and if the vaccine causes harm or injury to the individual. So all that this means, this is such, the left likes to use common sense legislation. They like to toss that around all the time. It's just common sense legislation. This is the most common sense legislation I could possibly think of when it relates to harming a person in the state of Texas. This should be a map, a roadmap, a guide for every state around the country, because all that this means is if you are going to advertise in this state for your vaccine, then you are going to be held responsible if your vaccine that you just advertised to these people in this state, if your vaccine harms these people, you're going to be held liable. You don't get immunity here in the state of Texas. So now it needs to go through the Senate. And then, of course, if it passes through the Senate, which I expect that it should, it will land on Governor Greg Abbott's desk for signature. Now, I want to give you a few examples of why this is so important. This bill is so important. I actually had the honor of attending a movie premiere over the weekend. This is a movie that, in my opinion, every single person, not just in the state of Texas, not just in the country, but honestly around the entire world, really needs to see, because the COVID era, I think, made it much easier to wake people up. Those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I have been for, a decade now, at least, I have been trying to wake people up to the dangers of trusting the experts. The dangers of just trusting the government to give you a recommendation of what you should inject into your body and you just blindly follow it. I have been trying to sound the alarm on that. And the COVID era made it much easier to be able to inform people of this, because they were watching it happen in real time. They were watching it happen, that they rushed this vaccine to market. They're shielded from liability. The government is buying up all of the doses with your taxpayer money. And this culmination of this perfect profit scheme for Big Pharma. Gee, what could possibly go wrong? You had this culmination of this perfect profit scheme for Big Pharma, and all the while we were watching in real time all of these injuries happen. And you had the government gaslighting you, saying, no, it's totally safe and effective. No, it will protect you from catching it. It will protect you from transmitting it. It will protect you from all of this. Don't worry. Trust us, bro. And so there was a documentary that just came out that I really, really strongly encourage you guys to see. If you want to know why this new bill that was passed by the Texas House is so important, go check out this documentary. It's called Follow the Silenced, and it follows people who they believed in the science, okay? They believed in the big medicine. They believed in the experts. They believed in the government's the government just wanting to help them. And I'd like to point out that as I want to give you a couple examples that are in this movie, just these people whose lives were completely devastated by the COVID experimental jab and who really received no recognition from the government, from Big Pharma, from any of the experts that this happened to them or their loved ones. And I just want to point out that almost every single anti-vaxxer that I know, which typically they're not anti-preventing sickness. They are just anti the system, anti the lack of safety studies that we have. They want people to be prevented from harm, but they just don't believe that this is the way to do it. And almost every single anti-vaxxer, vaccine skeptic that I know that you see started out as someone who believed in all of it. They believed in the science. They believed in the experts. They believed their government just wanted what was best for them. They believed all of these things and unfortunately found out the hard way that simply isn't the case. And you see these stories of these innocent people who they thought that they were doing something good. They thought that they were doing something noble. They thought that they were doing an act for the greater good, as these government experts tell them that they need to do, which, by the way, is communism. Doing something for the greater good, being coerced into doing something for the greater good is just simply communism. But I digress. It's just infuriating watching all of these people who thought that they were doing something noble, thought that they were really doing the right thing. They were convinced by their own government that they were doing the right thing. And they ended up permanently disabled, or worse, not here on this earth anymore, because they did that, because they trusted their government. And everyone needs to remember this. And we need full accountability, because this needs to never happen again. Not just in this country, but the whole world. Remember, this was not just a Texas thing. This was not just a America thing. This was the entire freaking world that all had this happen.
What are the important things out there in Texas politics and Texas news that matter to you, and what can you do about it? That's what we want to bring you with the Luke Macias Show on a weekly basis for 20 to 30 minutes. That way you can get the information and go do something for the rest of your week. I look forward to coming to you every Wednesday.
So what happened in 2021, 2022, where the government just put a boot on your neck and said, you're not allowed to run your business, you're not allowed to feed your family, you're not allowed to send your kids to school until you get a magic experimental jab, because we, Big Daddy government, we have determined that we know better for you than you even know. And we must save you from yourselves. Trust us, bro. So I know that there are a lot of experts who want to memory hole what happened, but I'm not going to let that happen. Okay. So from the movie that I'm going to encourage all of you to see, I have a link in the description. So go check it out. From this movie, I want you to listen to Ernest Martinez, a father who will never kiss his son again, never hug his son again, never be able to tell his son, I love you, ever again, because he trusted the experts with the most precious thing in the world, his son.
I didn't want to see my son sick. And in April, I took him to get the vaccine. 5 days later, my neighbor asked me if she could take Junior and her son to go eat and go play basketball. I gave him some money. I gave him a hug and a kiss. Told him to be good. They called me if he needed anything. That was the last time I spoke to him. My neighbor called me later on, screaming that something was wrong with Junior. So I raced to the park. They were loading him up on the ambulance. And when I got to the hospital, they just acted like nothing. They just said, oh, your son's dead. Like it meant nothing.
Now, what parents really care about is what's the worst thing can happen. We do know that for males under the age of about 30, there is an increased incidence, it appears, with the vaccines of a rare side effect of an inflammation, mild inflammation of the heart called myocarditis. And it's very mild. They go to the hospital, they're looked at, observed, given a little bit of ibuprofen, a pain reliever, and they go home, and they seem to be doing just fine in follow-up as in the studies that we've been looking at.
Oh, it's just mild myocarditis. It's just a mild case. Just take some ibuprofen and be on your way. There is no such thing as mild myocarditis. And you might be saying at this point, Sarah, you're not a doctor. How do you know? Well, I spoke to one of the most world-renowned, most published cardiac doctors in the world, Peter McCullough. I asked him that question personally. I spoke to him directly, and I asked him, is there such a thing as mild myocarditis? He said, absolutely not. This is inflammation of the heart. Then you're dealing with tissue being damaged, and there's no mild anything when it comes to damaging the heart. So there are families without sons who can attest that myocarditis is not mild as much as the government experts wanted to tell you that during that time. And there is just something so sinister about these things happening to kids. It's all disgusting. None of it should have happened, but there is just something so sinister about all of this happening to kids, especially when you consider that children were not prone to any sort of long-term devastating effects from this sickness. COVID was not killing off a bunch of healthy children. It just wasn't happening. But do you know what was killing off healthy children? The experimental jab for the sickness. And so it's so sinister when you think about all of these children that were left either being buried by their parents, which just should never happen. That's not the way these things are supposed to go. There is something it just infuriates me that this is happening to children. I want you to watch a snippet of this story of Maddie DeGary, who, again, her parents trusted the experts and trusted the government, and her life now will never be the same because of that.
It's until after the second shot that we really saw things get bad quickly.
So what's going on right now?
I'm shaking.
What's wrong with your arm?
There was electrical shocks going through her body. You couldn't touch her back.
Her fingers were white, they were ice cold, swollen.
I called the nurse line, told them what was going on, and they directed us to go to the ER.
I mean, it was the scariest thing I've ever seen, but I honestly, at that point, I'm like, okay, she's in a trial, they're gonna take care of her. Like, that's what happens, things can happen, they will figure this out, she will be okay.
Days and weeks had gone by after several trips to the emergency room. Well, now she started having syncope. She was passing out.
Breathe. Come on, Maddie. Maddie.
Breathe. Okay. Breathe.
Maddie!
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I think we might go back to the hospital today, okay?
This can never happen again. This can never happen again. I want to show you one more snippet here from this movie that, again, everyone needs to see. If you want to know why the bill that was just passed in the Texas House is so important, if you want to know why these vaccine manufacturers need to be held liable if their product harms someone, watch this Houston Methodist Hospital whistleblower talking about the increase, just the volume of blood clots that the hospital started seeing after the vaccine came out. They were like, we can't even keep up with all of these blood clot cases, and the size of these clots is it was unparalleled. They had never seen anything like it.
Like 20, 30-year-old people, perfectly healthy, no comorbidities, very active coming in, and they've got a blood clot in each leg, one in each side of the lung, covered in DVTs or PEs and blood clots. That doesn't happen. There's no cause for that. And then you look at their chart, and there's no reason for this to happen. But when you go to their vaccine history, sure enough, you'd see, oh, they took the shot a week ago. They took the shot 2 weeks ago. Every single one was like that.
You want to talk about why HB 3441 is so important? Because we need full accountability for what happened to people who took that shot. We need full accountability for the people who had faith in the system, had concern for their fellow man, who thought that they were doing the right thing. We need accountability for the government experts who lied and told people that the product was totally safe and effective. Don't worry. I mean, we've totally shielded all of these companies who are greatly profiting off of this product, greatly profiting off of your pain and suffering. We've totally shielded them from any sort of liability. So if you take it and you end up dead, if your loved one takes it and you end up burying them, if you take it and you end up permanently in a wheelchair, they don't pay. You're just going to have to figure it out. But don't worry. It's safe and effective. You don't need to worry about don't worry about the minor details. Just make sure you go get your magic shot for a virus that really was not deadly in the first place to the overwhelming majority of the population. It's for the greater good. I mean, we need full accountability. It is 2025, and we still have not had full accountability for what happened. There needs to be justice. People belong in prison, and that, my friends, would be a kind outcome for them. People belong in prisons for what happened. And we cannot allow them to get away with this without accountability. And I would just really strongly encourage you guys to go watch this documentary. Bring your Kleenex, bring your tissues with you. It's gut-wrenching, but it's just so important that everyone hear these people's stories. So we make sure that this never happens again. It's you can find it on my X page. I posted it over on my X page at Sara Gonzales TX, but you can also go to the website followthesilenced.com and go check it out. Very important to moving on. I know there are a lot of people who say, well, it's 2025 and this happened in 2020. The vaccine came out in 2021. That was 4.5 years ago. Let's move on. There is no moving on for these people who were left permanently injured. There is no moving on for the fathers and mothers who lost their children. There is no moving on for them. And we shouldn't just be so quick to dismiss their stories. Go check out the movie. I expect that the Senate here in Texas will pass HB 3441. And that is a great start to real reform here in the state of Texas and hopefully the country. It's a great start. Obviously, these pharmaceutical companies need complete liability. They do not need to be shielded. They do not need immunity. If their products harm people, they need to be held fully accountable if they are creating products that they claim are safe and effective. So this is a good step in the right direction here in the state of Texas. Go check out the documentary, followthesilenced.com, or check it out on my X page, and we will see you next time on Come and Take It.
Be sure to subscribe to Texas Scorecard on YouTube and click that bell to ensure you're a real Texan. If you liked this video and want to see more citizen-driven journalism, be sure to click like and go to texasscorecard.com to read about all things Texas. Texas Scorecard, real news for real Texans.